I am. Okay. So, thought I was going to be out of the video making business. But, as it were, I just felt compelled to make some more. So, here we go. Okay. Every day I have so much stuff just, you know, circling around in my head. See, it's always the beginning of these videos. I never know what I'm going to say or where I'm going to go. Because even when I think I know I'm going to say something, I'll start down that road and end up somewhere completely different. So this time, this is the first time that I've had a couple notes with me. Only not because I need some notes, but because the basis of this video I think is going to be about my perspective on the Jedi versus the Sith, and because that's seems people are pretty familiar with those movies, the Star Wars and all like that, so it's just something that people can relate to. So yeah, so I just basically wrote down both of the codes so I didn't forget them. That's basically it, and I drew a little picture that may help with a certain perspective. I should probably start off by saying, and I don't know if I've said this before, but this applies to all my videos. This applies to everybody, just my truth, or the truth as I see it, is that as soon as you open your mouth, you're speaking a lie. You can never speak about what is true. You can speak from the truth, but you'll never tell the truth. It's the only truth is just being the truth. And the problem that I see most people have, not that even it's a problem, because everybody's just providing their own unique insight and own unique perspective on what they see from their corner of the universe. Everybody's communicating from each other to try to get a better idea of what's going on. So, yeah. Oh, yeah. So, basically, anything that I say, the opposite is also true. That's what I'm saying. And I clearly think that that's the same for everybody. That's the truth for everyone. That you can never say anything without its opposite also being true, because if what you're saying is true, for every action there's equal and opposite reaction, equal. So if you're saying something will come, an opposing force will come to, create the vibration. You can't create a vibration with one thing, just like you can't sharpen the sword with just the one sword. You need them to go back and forth to sharpen each other. So, yeah, I would just kind of, really implore people to really, contemplate that concept of, truth and untruth and, what just is. Okay, so yeah, that's just my little, disclaimer for what I'm saying, because I don't like putting, because sometimes I get a little funny or whatever, and I don't like people to think that I actually believe the shit I'm saying, because I really don't. I don't really believe anything that I'm saying. I believe everything I'm saying, but I also realize that it really means nothing. Only the context in which I'm saying it gives it meaning, and my context is never going to be the same as someone who's listening to this context going to be. So the truth is, has many different shades and many different, perspectives. You're all looking at the same thing, but you're looking at it from different points of view. So one person over here is saying everybody's looking at themselves, but they're looking at it from this corner of the galaxy, and they see, they from their specific point of consciousness, or their specific point in the galaxy or in the universe, they look out their front door and they see just a big asteroid field. So they they might go around and start talking about, they might come up with any type of story to storify what these asteroids are. They call them giants, or call them demons, or call them fucking gods. They'll call them whatever they want to call them, but they're just asteroids. And the asteroids themselves, and see, this is, I don't even, what the fuck am I talking about? What's more true, to call the asteroids a god, or to call them an asteroid? To call them a rock, or to call them a god? There's really, whatever. I'll say this. I want to say things, but people, I just don't see how it can really benefit anyone who doesn't already know what the fuck I'm talking about. So, but I'll say it anyways. Fuck it. Like I said, these videos are for me anyways. There's no universal dictionary as far as what a certain concept means. So God to one person can mean something completely different to something else. But at the same time, because again, the opposite is also true, there is a certain vibration and a certain frequency that is carried with. You see, this shit is too, I'm going way off what the fuck I'm supposed to say, because this shit gets too crazy for me. I had to do a whole video on just that one little thing. So never mind all that. Let me just get to this, because who knows how long my memory's going to last. Either this shit cut out any time, really, so we'll see. Okay, so if you're familiar with Star Wars, the gist of the two codes are as follows. The Jedi code says, there is no emotion, there is only peace. No ignorance, there is only knowledge. There is no passion, only serenity. There is no death, only the Force. Which sounds pretty good. It sounds pretty good. If you think about that, that sounds pretty good, But where's the spice? Where's the, there's no emotion, there's only peace. There's no ignorance, there's only knowledge. So that doesn't, it makes sense in a perfect world, you could say. But at the same time, based on experience, it does seem a little out of balance. And if you watch the Star Wars movies and there is no emotion, there's only peace. If you don't have any emotion, then why aren't all the Jedi just sitting on some exiled planet somewhere just doing what Yoda did? Why are they sitting on a council and making decisions based on really the emotions of others, even if not the emotions of themselves? How they perceive other people will react if they make their decision. So as nice as their code sounds, they themselves can never fully live up to it, or else they wouldn't exist. But for them to strive towards this emptiness, or this, non-doing, is really I guess you could say, the pinnacle of, self-mastery from a certain point of view. Okay, here's the Sith code. Already 9 minutes in. There's a lot I wanted to say, and I spent a whole time just talking about nothing, sort of. Okay. The Sith code. Peace is a lie. There is only passion. Through passion I gain strength. Through strength I gain power. Through power I gain victory. Through victory my chains are broken. The Force shall free me. Okay. So, my mind I think I know what I want to say, but then I try to go, and I know that saying that one thing's going to take up 10 minutes of the video, so I just decide not to say it. So it's kind of begins to get a little, what I should say, what I shouldn't, but whatever. Basically, I'll just say, to keep it simple, the gist of these two things is you can see how there's a time and a place for everything. And that sometimes, passion is required for a certain lesson, for a certain type of wholeness. And that other times, if you let that passion get the best of you, and you don't realize that you, in essence, are not this passion, that the passion itself is an illusion, really, that can cause you to go so far outside yourself that, it might take a little while to get back. And you might have to experience, some, the bigger they are, the harder they fall. Okay, I don't know if this is gonna work. This is just the other concept that I wanted to kind of explore in this video, because I see a lot of people, it seems like a lot of people attribute, like when you go in math class and you have the two axes, I'll just kind of show it for a second, like, so you kind of have the two axes, the X and the Y. Okay, so you'll have the X-axis and the Y-axis, and clearly it's completely, subjective. If you turn it like this, then it would be different. So, and I feel like, and that's in a sense, I guess you could say like the pole shift. That gets a little fuzzy, so we won't go there. But you can also see how. Okay, let's just hold on. Do I want to show this, or do I want to just keep talking about it? Okay, I'll try to explain it and then I'll show it again. Okay. You might be able to see if you pause it or some shit. I don't know, but it's kind of crude. So right in the middle of the 2 points, right on the center line, like the y-axis, this is going to be balance. This is going to be in between light and dark. This is going to be between masculine and feminine. This is going to be between good and evil, chaos and order. Okay, that's going to be right in the middle. You're sitting right in the middle. Because someone who is all about chaos or all about the feminine, their energy's all over the place and they don't have the order to construct something, to have some type of foundation, to be able to witness themselves, which is, in a sense, the purpose of creation. So you definitely need both. And like I said, people, it seems like people, because of, the conditioning with religion and all these different things, which keeps you really in a certain box, is to tell people that being good is synonymous with rising up. That being good or being right is synonymous with getting to the next level. When that's not really the case. Now, that's kind of, touchy to say these things, but I just want to, my perspective again. So they'll just see, I'll just try to explain it quickly. Okay, so, alright, I'm just going to show it, and you can, pause it, and then I'll try to explain it. Okay, I don't know if you can read it, but okay. Something like, okay, so it's, I put it in the sense of like a pyramid. So you got unity at the top. The more, it's like, imagine you got a frequency wave. In your frequency wave, this is duality. You're going doom, 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 doom. Then you're oneness again. So it's like one of those things at the hospital, like beep, 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 like that. So your vibration is going up by becoming more one, not even necessarily by expanding your consciousness, not necessarily. And this is, again, where it becomes a paradox, so it's different. But you'll see how I kind of drew these wings here. And the wings are for good and evil. It's like the fallen angels have wings. This is all just, I'm telling a story. The fallen angels have wings, and then the so-called righteous angels both have wings. And they both serve a god, okay? But the god is not, the evil god and the good god are not like this. It's not the good god and the evil god is like this. It's like this. And then there's you could call it the Most High, is up here at the top of the pyramid, and it controls both. But this is not, it's not like one shows favoritism. You got necessary shit over here and necessary shit over here. You can't, it's just like everything that, like all the parasites and all the, the destructive tendencies that people have, that people will consider and be like, that's evil shit. You're going around and, destroying shit, that's bad. But there's a time and a place for that. And if it wasn't for these ones destroying, then no one could create anything. So the Most High, the one at the top of the pyramid, sees this. So, and this is also why, and this is just, again, my perspective, this thing, you get the dragons, my perspective, the dragons operate on both sides. And both of the dragons, it is in their best interest to harness your energy, to use your energy, to say, this is the way, and this is the way you should do. When in reality, it doesn't have to be that way. Like, for example, let's just say this, if just in a perfect world, two balanced beings get together, just a very loving, the epitome of feminine, divine feminine gets together with the epitome of the divine masculine, and they come together and they create a child. That child, in theory, should have the qualities of both. Now, because there's like wobbles and shit, and that's what creates, the experience and all like that, and it's not like non-existence. Of course, when you get born, you like either, start to sway a little more this way or sway a little bit that way, which is what you need for the sake of the experience, so you may be more male, more female. But to recognize the perfection of what already is, that you don't, like I said, the thing that I see, that if I was going to come up with an issue with anything that anyone says, it would be that it seems as though they believe everything that they say, which from their perspective is completely true and nothing wrong with it. But I'm just trying to like bring the both into, or to try to illustrate the harmony that already is. That it's not, that the only reason you gotta go to war is because you're trying to change some shit, or you're trying to, in a sense, I don't want to say play God, or like but you believe you got to do some shit, which is not a bad thing. See, this is why I don't like talking about this shit. It's not a bad thing, because it's almost like, the one who is can't do anything. So the one that is illuminates you, and through the light that illuminates you, you think that you exist. And because the one that just is cannot be directly perceived, it can only be perceived through you kind of recognizing what is not, what cannot possibly be, things that are come and go. Anything that can exist now and then not exist later can't be the infinite, can't be the supreme one, because it comes and it goes. It pushes and it pulls. It lives and it dies. So the thing that is always dead can't be the infinite. The thing that is always alive can't be the infinite, because it takes both for that creation. So it comes together and creates that child. And that child, you could say, is, in a sense, the judge of itself. It gets immersed in an experience and decides for itself what is good for it and what is not. It has the aspects, it has the potential to do, this is where you get the free will thing, it has the potential to do one or the other. It has the potential to, be more like the Sith and just try to gain all the power for himself and try to control others. And it also has the potential to, reject all of that type of thinking and do what's best for others. Or even what it perceives. See, this is the thing, the problem with the so-called righteousness thing, is you're constantly projecting onto other people. Like, I think it was Muji, he said some shit like, he was talking about, if you haven't watched Muji, go watch Muji, because he doesn't get into, the thing I like about him is he doesn't get into really any of this shit. He stops right at this, just stops right there. He tells you the truth, and then you figured it out from there. If you want to explore from that, that's on you. But anyways, he talks about how, like, you want to be righteous, or you want to be a good person, or you want to be whatever, and you walk and you see a homeless person sitting on the side of the road, so you're like, oh man, I feel bad for them, and I'm such a good person, and I know what God would want for me. God would definitely want me to feed this homeless person. So you go in the store and you buy him a bushel of apples and a thing of bananas, and you walk it out and you say, here you go, sir. I took it upon myself to go and buy you these things. And he looks at you and he's like, yeah, man, that's what's up. But you got a cigarette though? And you're like, and then now you're all pissed, like, oh, fuck you, man. You're so ungrateful of what I did for you, and blah blah blah. But in reality, he's being himself. And it was you only projected onto him what you thought was correct or right for him, when in reality, his experience is right and correct for him. And if you, the whole correctness thing, or the whole even comfort thing, or whatever, is what in a sense keeps you away from yourself. It's the ones who come to you and challenge your view that are really serving you. The ones that are really helping you are the ones that are constantly, shaking you. Like when you wake people up, you just keep shaking them. And what you'll notice is when you start right here and you're going up on the so-called pyramid, or the ladder, the stairs, whatever you want to call it, the journey, the path, you have a frequency that's right here, and this frequency is projecting a certain frequency, like let's just say Christianity. So you're right here, you're just completely amoral, you have just no concept of nothing, you're perfect as you are, but you have no concept of nothing, and you somehow want to have this feeling of progress. So you start upon this so-called journey, and you start, growing up a little bit, and you realize that, hey, you start getting into contact with people who are in so-called religion. And since you so happen to be in the United States where Christianity is more prevalent, you more than likely get in contact with somebody like that. And they start telling you about Jesus, and they start telling you about all these things. But Christianity does not move. Christianity, boom, this is Christianity. This is Jesus. This is all the stories. This is Noah. This is everything right here, boom, right there. That's as far as it goes. And of course, don't get me wrong, again, go back in, because I want people to take me the wrong way. There's a lot of symbolism and a lot of higher truth mixed into the lower truth. So, eat as above, so below. So even the Christianity story does have roots from up here, So like with death and rebirth and all these type of things, it has truth from up here as well that kind of gets passed down. But if you're looking at it on the frequency that everybody else is, and you think, okay, boom, so now everybody's just stuck right here. Everybody's just static frequency. They think they made it somewhere. They think they're good, so they're just waiting now, just boom, 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 boom. And it's not until they die that they realize, oh shit, well, guess fuck that one up. But it's okay, because technically I can never really die because I was never really born, because I am. So I'll just do it again until, fuck it. I must have being ignorant for however long, so that's cool. It's not a problem. But recognize all these static frequencies out here. I don't know if I'm going to say this or not, but I'll venture to say that everything is a static frequency except for you. You are the only thing in your world that is not a static frequency. So as you change, everything around you will change. But if you are in the habit of looking out as your inspiration to change, then you'll always be at the mercy of the outside world or an outside person or whatever, and they will then be your God. And this is the thing, and just before I get too far away from this, you see like the little the wings on both sides. Basically, I'm just trying to say that both the ones who are on this side or that side need the wings, because they need to boost themselves up on this side, they need a wing. And they boost themselves on that side, they need a wing. It's like if the creator only gave birds one wing, or they were just only gave them masculine, they'd just be like, and they'd fall. So to keep them balanced, you got the chaos and the order. So and when they're in balance, then you're able to fly and you're able to do a lot of things. Same way with walking. I guess you could hop or whatever, but even then you keep your body balanced, whatever. So yeah, and at the top of the pyramid is unity, and then the bottom is separation, push, pull, light, dark, feminine, masculine, blah, blah, blah. Just kind of wanted to throw that out there, because it seems like, and this is the thing, the whole thing with fear, as soon as you think that something is right and something else is wrong, and you don't realize that's a matter of perspective, now you trap yourself right in that moment. You trap yourself into a box, because all of these so-called gods, what they've done is constructed a box. They've constructed a reality, a separate matrix, you could say, and they are constantly blaring that out to the universe. and they're always trying to recruit more souls or recruit more power so that they themselves can, grow. It's not necessarily a bad thing. Just like you got some kings or some rulers who are, benevolent and good and blah, 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 but they would be nothing without their people. So once you realize that you are the king of your own ship, that you're the captain of your own ship, that you are perfect and whole as you are, then you stay. And this video is getting kind of long. I don't really know if I even said anything. This is shit. I don't know. I'll just say this. From my perspective, remain always as the child. Remain always imagine that so-called God or the Creator is just walking you through life. Always imagine that, that if you fall down, the Creator let you fall down so that the Creator could show you something. It's like the baby who got to crawl and got to do all these things. The Creator wants you to fly, but there's a certain joy in the experience of progression, of advancement, of achievement. So even though you already are flying or you already are in some place doing all these things, to be able to have the memory as a beautiful experience. So the Creator might start you as a baby crawling on the ground, and then you gotta stand up, and then boom, and then you bust your face on a coffee table or some shit, and oh shit, I'm never gonna do that again. The Creator created the coffee table and created all the nerves in your face and created everything for that experience. It's not a bad thing. And as soon as you outsource that perspective to another being, anybody, no matter who it is, it doesn't matter. As soon as you outsource that to something outside yourself, you lose all your power. You lose all your power, and now your power is being projected to someone else to make them something. And the only thing at that point you can do is hope that, they reciprocate back to you something that's beneficial to you. And you got some good beings that will do that. You got some not so good beings who will do that. But if you don't know yourself, you will never know the difference. You will never know the difference. So, yeah. Just imagine that, a good perspective, I guess you could say, is imagine, and this is like again one of the paradoxical things, but a realization that I had, a while back. Just, you have this idea in your head that the Creator is dealing with an infinite number of other beings, and that you're so small, and that blah 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 and all like that. So it makes you feel somewhat less powerful or smaller in the grand scheme, because you have these ideas and these concepts of all this separation of all these other beings and all these other things, and you maybe sometimes you don't feel worthy enough, like, my problems aren't so grand because, and maybe that's true, and maybe that's just part of the lesson to get you to, suck it up and, humble yourself a little more and be thankful and have some gratitude for what you already have. But so there's goodness in that, but the truth is that the Creator doesn't have anything better to do. The Creator does not have anything better to do than live with you and through you in every single moment. Always. All the time. No YouTube videos necessary. And when you're so far away from yourself, you feel like you need you need to take some steps. Like, you just don't trust yourself enough without you seeing that reflected back to you in your outside world. So, of course, you go online and you search some shit and you do all whatever you do and you watch some this and this and that, but eventually it always brings you back to the same place. Like, all the paths lead to the same place. The one. Like, even if you start on this side and you start as evil as shit and you start over here and blah, 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 it's all coming back to that one point. And once you come to that one point, guess what happens? You do it again. And think about that. If you were over here on the side of so-called righteousness and you're moving towards the one, Look what happens when you, now look where you're at. Now you start moving to the other side for balance. And then now the ones who were, now what's good becomes bad and what's bad becomes good. So you just flipped. And it's always like that. You always have, you have like the two, like two strands of DNA that are constantly moving. I think I've said this before. They move together. One's moving up and one's moving down. But it's like you're looking and you think this is right side up, but you don't know. So eventually the creator comes in and he's like, just to show you don't know shit, watch this. And your whole shit gets flipped upside down. Now everything you thought you knew, the opposite is true. So, and this could cut out at any time really. So yeah, and I want to make another video about the mirror, like just how creation is mirrored through you. But I knew I was going to have enough time to make it on this video because, you know, it's a whole nother thing. But just kind of, you know, pay attention to some of these things out here that people say and do. And, oh, this was another thing. The thing about the mother and the child. My nose keep on tickling. If let's just say two balanced beings get together and blah, 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 and they have a child and because they are balanced and because, you know, they have love and they respect each other. It's all about respecting the other side. That's what it is. It's about respecting the other side. Of course, you know, you get too masculine, you think my way or the highway. It's got to be this way. And if it's not this way, then some shit's fucked up and blah, blah, blah. When you got the mother and she's more loving and nurturing, like, oh, you know, blah, blah, blah. It's okay. You know, it's okay and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, it's all love. That's the feminine way of going about things, but it's chaos because you love everything because you're just raw power. So you have so much, you just want to give. Where the masculine guy come and be like, hold on, mom, you know, yeah, don't be giving to this guy over here because clearly, you know, he's just gonna keep taking and taking. You gotta use some logic and realize that, you know, if you give some man some bread, you know, he'll for a day, or you give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day. If you teach him to fish, then you know he'll eat for a lifetime. That's a masculine idea. The feminine, you know, just would have no use for an idea like that because why? You know, for what? So when the balance comes together and something gets created, and now you're in duality. Now you need both. You need the power and you need the order. You need the order and the chaos. But let's say they got together and they created a child, and then because even the parents, even because everything is in motion, there is not a God or a deity or some type of Lord or anything in the universe that itself is not progressing, that itself is not in motion, because to exist is to be in motion. That's what a vibration is. So let's just say they keep on going about their thing and blah, blah, blah. And then, you know, when they first had the child and they wrote all these stories about it and, oh, it was so great and everything. And now, you know, a couple more cycles go by and then the male decides, you know what? I don't like how you've been communicating with so-and-so. I don't like how, you know, how like the masculine energy is like real jealous and real like territorial and shit like that. So I don't like how you've been doing that, or I don't like this, or I don't like this, so fuck you. And then the feminine comes and she's like, whoa, what the fuck? And then, so now let's say they have a divorce. Let's say they get divorced. So they were together and they created the child, but now they're divorced. When they were together, the child had the perspective of both loving and balanced parents. So when he went to the mother for something, and he could go to the father and he could get two perspectives, and then he could balance himself out and he himself will become the one. So but let's say that, you know, either the mother or the father, let's just say that even the mother gets too chaotic and she's doing all types of crazy shit, and the father just can't put up with that shit. Like, you know, I just can't do it. You know, I'm not saying it's always gonna be one way, but and for whatever reason they split. Now the child is either gonna, a few things could happen. They could either just leave both parents. You know, maybe it happens later in his life and he feels like, oh well, you know, I got enough, you know, knowledge, I can go about this myself, and maybe he does great. But let's say he's real young and he can't. Let's say he's, in a sense, when they split, because he's so still attached to his parents, he must choose one or the other. And you see this in the court system, and you see this all type of shit, where they might when they reach a certain age, they might let the child remain with whatever one he chooses. Before that point, they almost always go with the mother. And think about that. They almost always go with the mother, because the mother is that nurturing one. And when the baby comes out, it's directly with its mother. So, in a sense, you could say that as far as it's very important to have the mother. So from a certain point of view, you know, the mother is where it's at. But you know, if you feel like whatever, and you need, that's what it is. Um, and you see, and I'm going all over the place, but then you see like females who never had like a strong masculine energy in their life, or they didn't have like a good foundation with their father or whatever. They end up trying to seek that through other doors and shit out here. And some of these, you know, not so good, you know, masculine energies really exploit that shit. And it is what it is. They got to do what they got to do, you know. When they even chose to, you know, be a part of that creation, they knew what was in store for them. Um, Even if they identify the one as that they knew, there was some intelligence that knew. There was some supreme wisdom in the universe that knew exactly what's going on and was taking care of that child the whole time. So everything for a reason. Yeah. So just kind of take some of these concepts maybe and just just put on like the glasses of these concepts for a second and look around at your world and see if things don't look a lot different, because in reality you have so many different lenses on right now that you don't know what the fuck is going on.